Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Mickey Harte has been appointed as the Offaly senior football manager. This is not a drill. This is not fake. This is, in fact, real life. Mickey Harte appointed as the Offaly manager. Breaking news. It's only broke in the last couple of minutes, in the last 20 minutes or so, that the news has broke. And to be honest with you, nobody saw this coming. Like, when it came to Mickey Harte, everybody was speaking about the fact that maybe Mickey Harte might go to Monaghan, he might go to Westmeath, he might go to Kildare. There was a whole host of counties that were mentioned. Nobody mentioned Offaly. And to be fair, there was a good reason for that. They already had a manager in Declan Kelly. And it is worth mentioning, it is a joint managerial pairing. So Mickey Harte and Declan Kelly will be joint managers, which is quite bizarre as well. So we'll have a look at the statement that has been made by Offaly GA about 39 minutes ago. So I suppose about as new as it can get in regards to this news. So Offaly GA say Offaly GA Football Review Committee this afternoon has recommended Mickey Harte as joint manager of the Offaly footballers. And this has been endorsed by Offaly GA Management Committee for approval at the next county board meeting. Mr. Harte will co-manage with current manager Declan Kelly for a 3-year period. Offaly GA chairperson Michael Duignan said, "I am delighted that Mickey Harte has come on board with Declan as joint manager of the Offaly senior football team. His genuine interest in Offaly GA and his wealth of experience is what I feel Offaly football needs right now." I do like that line. His genuine interest in Offaly GA, like, you know, like kind of just throwing it out there. Like there is an interest, lads. He is actually interested. Do you know what I mean? As bizarre as it sounds. Anyway, on behalf of the Offaly County Board, I want to welcome Mickey to the county, and I hope all Offaly GA Gaels will come out and show their support to Declan, Mickey, and the footballers for the coming year. Speaking of his appointment, Mickey Harte said, "I'm really looking forward to working with Declan and the players over the next 3 years. I'm very aware of the history and tradition of Offaly football and believe that there is huge potential within the county. I'm very excited to work with Declan and the players to get the best out of footballers in both the league and championship in 2025. I would like to thank Michael Duignan for his professionalism and honesty during our meetings. Current manager Declan Kelly, you know, he is involved in this as well. He said, "This is great news for Offaly football and Offaly GA in general. I look forward to working closely with Mickey. He has had huge success over the years, and we hope to emulate that in the not too distant future." Mickey Harte has managed his native Tyrone to 3 All-Ireland titles, 6 Ulster titles, 1 National League and 12 McKenna Cups. And then he did also manage Louth and Derry as well. Didn't win that in there. But anyway, the remainder of the management and the backroom team will be finalised over the coming weeks. And that's it. It ends. It ends right there. Wow then. Yeah, you'll see a photo of Mickey Harte there as well. With Declan Kelly and Michael Duignan. Like, I seen this photo going around in group chats earlier, and I don't know, I just thought this was an older photo, to be honest with you. I thought this was a photo from like a few years ago or something. I just didn't think, it just didn't make sense. It didn't add up. Like, sometimes you see these bizarre rumors going around on WhatsApp and everything else, and you're thinking, this one can't be true, surely. Like, it just does not add up at all. But it's happened. Look, in regards to my thoughts to it, like, I think it's very bold from Offaly. It's definitely different. I think the big one here is appointing Mickey Harte as your manager is one thing, but bringing him in to now be joint manager with Declan Kelly, like, it's kind of almost like they wanted to get Mickey Harte in. Like, clearly, they obviously wanted to get him in as manager, but it's almost as if they've gone and looked at it and thought, well, we can't get rid of Declan Kelly, the man who won us an under-20 All-Ireland a few years previous. You know, we can't just ship him out the door. Like, that would be incredibly disrespectful to someone who delivered an incredible achievement just a few years previous. So we'll bring him in and we'll put them as a managerial parent. Like, managerial parents are interesting. They're a rarity really within the GAA, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I mean, the most notably being Fergal Logan, Brian Dooher won an All-Ireland with Tyrone, coincidentally the year after Mickey Harte left Tyrone. So you would say that was a success, albeit Tyrone have, you know, been pretty poor the last couple of years ever since. But again, I think with managerial pairings, it's like, there is a bit of a conflict there in the sense that you have Mickey Harte, who's a very experienced veteran manager, and then you have Declan Kelly. It feels more like almost like Mickey Harte's going to be the manager and Declan Kelly's going to be the second-hand man, because like, how could Declan Kelly disagree with any of Mickey Harte's methods, given the fact of what he's done in the past? Do you know what I mean? So it's just very interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic. You feel like it mightn't work, but at the same time, it may be a blessing. You look at Leitrim last year; they brought Mickey Graham in, albeit that was assistant manager. Within a year, Andy Moran's out the door, and Mickey Graham's now the manager. This feels like something similar, to be honest with you. It feels like maybe, you know, if things go badly this year, Mickey Harte will just be appointed the senior football manager. But look, at the same time, it's great for Offaly football. It's definitely something that Offaly fans should be excited about. I know Mickey Harte gets a lot of slack for obviously how things went with Derry, but I think overall, when you look at his sort of overall body of work as a manager, I think he has done a very good job. You know, it goes without saying, 3 All-Irelands as Tyrone manager goes without question. Multiple league titles, Ulster titles. He done a phenomenal job, obviously, with Louth. And Louth were probably, you could arguably say, in a worse position than what Offaly actually are in now. Do you know what I mean? When Mickey Harte took over. Like, when Mickey Harte took over Louth, they didn't have a wealth of underage success beneath them. They didn't have, you know, they were already in Division 4. And Mickey Harte is arguably coming into Offaly where things are actually probably a little bit better than how they were when Mickey Harte went to Louth, in my opinion. And I do think the resources is better, you know, in Offaly, hence how Mickey Harte has ended up there. And I do think Michael Duignan and Offaly GA, like, they do have their act together in recent years. Underage has been very, very successful. They're definitely putting their resources in the right places. You know, investment is going in there. There's no question about that. And they're using it in the right ways. And you're bringing Mickey Harte in, who I think can galvanise those young players, who can get them playing great football. Like, they have some phenomenal young players in there, from Jack Bryant, from Keith O'Neill, Cormac Egan, Cian Farrell, very good footballer over the last couple of seasons as well. So there's something there for Mickey Harte and for Declan Kelly and for this Offaly team to work with. The worry would just be that managerial pairing where, you know, is that going to work? It's hard to know. It's hard to know. But at the same time, it's interesting for Offaly. Like, only speaking about Offaly yesterday on Matthew Hurley's podcast, speaking about, you know, Offaly football need to get things right next season, you know, because they have something there to work with. You know, for counties like Offaly, you don't always have things to work with. You know, underage success probably is few and far between, really, for Offaly football when you look at the last 20 years. They need to capitalise off of what they have, because this isn't just like, you know, a Dublin or a Tyrone or, you know, a Cork or whatever, where the conveyor belt is going to keep coming. Young players are always going to be there. This mightn't be the case for Offaly in 6, 7 years down the line, 5 years down the line. So they need to get the most out of what they have. And I think when you look at Meath in a little bit of disarray, young team themselves, but they've been very static over the last couple of years. And you look at Louth, who've probably overtook them really on the basis of this year, when a couple of years ago that seemed unimaginable, really. Kildare are in free fall. We'll see what happens with them next year. But there's the possibility for Offaly to do something a little bit, in the sense of maybe getting to a Leinster final or something of that nature, if they obviously avoid Dublin along the way. So it's a very interesting appointment. Interesting that it's 3 years as well. You would have thought, you know, with Mickey Harte, you know, maybe give him a 1-year deal in case he jumps ship next year. But yeah, he's taken over as the Offaly manager. I suppose joint manager, it should be said. But yeah, very, very interesting nonetheless. We'll run through some comments here. Mead says that's mad. It sure is. Gaelic Guy says didn't see that coming, to be honest. Thought he would take a year out or maybe go to Westmeath. Didn't expect Offaly at all. Yeah, Offaly just wasn't in the conversation. Definitely wasn't in the conversation. And you know, and the main reason for it is because they had a manager. Like, maybe if Declan Kelly had decided to leave, then maybe they would have looked at, you know, bringing, you know, maybe the Mickey Harte rumours would have happened with Offaly. But it's a very, very interesting appointment. It'll be very fascinating to see what happens with them next year. Like, you look at Division 3, you look at some of the teams that are coming down from Division 3, Kildare, Fermanagh. It feels wide open enough, Division 3. Can Offaly go on a run there. Can they get back up to Division 2? Like, it's interesting. You think of the younger players, the more senior players that are there as well. Could it galvanise the county? And it will just be interesting with that managerial pairing as well. Can they be on the same page? Because you feel like having such a dynamic there where you have a relatively inexperienced manager and a hugely experienced manager. Like, I just feel like Mickey Harte is probably going to call most of the shots. Let's be honest here. And could, is Declan Kelly going to be happy enough to let that happen? That's where a potential conflict could arise. So it is going to be interesting. Mikey says, I was hoping it was Leitrim. Yeah, look, Mickey Harte would have been interesting with Leitrim, but they have a Mickey of their own, in fairness, in Mickey Graham. But who knows? At this rate, Mickey Harte might end up at Leitrim in a few years. He seems to be bouncing around everywhere at this rate. Wherever we'll have him, he seems to want to go. So, yeah, there we go. That's the news. Anyway, Mickey Harte appointed joint manager of the Offaly senior footballers alongside Declan Kelly on a 3-year deal. And yeah, I suppose of mad managerial appointments we've had in recent years, this one is definitely up there, to be honest, and certainly will make Division 3 in 2025 very, very interesting. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Any Offaly fans, let me know your thoughts on this one as well. Wow, Mickey Harte to Offaly. Who would have saw it coming? Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll speak to you all soon.